Big shout out to Sporting Icons, best channel out there.
Okay, so Eddie Hearn has stated that it's his understanding that Skill Challenge Promotions in Saudi Arabia are looking to add Francis Ngannou versus Derek Chisora on the undercard in December for Usyk versus Fury and Joshua versus Wilder. So 3 fights. Now, as a side note, before we talk about that one, I also heard, and I'm sure like some of you have as well, is that that'll be pretty much the entire card. They're not looking at putting on several fights on that card. I mean, I hope that's not true. For me, I'm like a old school traditional. I like several fights. I like to have an evening of boxing. Now, that said, so Francis Ngannou versus Derek Chisora. Now, if Francis Ngannou is going to fight somebody in the professional game who's a big name and potentially get a win, it could be Chisora. Chisora slowed right the way down. He has. Francis Ngannou, very, very fast with his hands and, of course, very powerful as well. But at the same time, Derek Chisora is a boxer. Francis Ngannou is not. Okay, he's a mixed martial artist who, of course, is very well known for his striking power. But Derek Chisora gets hit a lot. Now, can he take the punches from Francis Ngannou? Well, I suppose on Fight Night we'll find out. Of course, there are different sized gloves. In MMA, you've got much smaller gloves compared to what you have in boxing. But at the same time, you can still put someone's lights out. Of course you can. But it's going to be interesting. It's going to be very, very interesting. It's also going to be interesting to see what Derek Chisora is like as well, because obviously Derek Chisora, he's acting as somewhat of a kind of promoter out there in that as well. So if he's actually going to be on the card, when Derek Chisora gets into war mode, what kind of antics is he going to get up to in Saudi Arabia? Obviously, he can't push the boat too far because he could land himself in some pretty hot water with some of the things that he said and done in previous press conferences and weigh-ins and all that kind of stuff. But hopefully he'll keep himself contained. Now, is this the kind of fight that Francis Ngannou would like? I mean, I imagine so. Obviously, the Saudis are going to offer him a sizable purse. Of course, listen, Derek Chisora is going to be in for a bit of a sizable purse as well. But as far as that fight is concerned, it is somewhat of a 50-50 fight, only because of where Chisora is now and because of his fighting style. But ordinarily, you probably have to heavily pick Derek Chisora in that fight. Now, I would still edge with Derek Chisora. I would. I think that he'd probably wear down Francis Ngannou. As a lot of people who don't do like pure boxing for quite some time, the adrenaline gets to them and they start to fatigue as the fight goes on. Unless, of course, this is only going to be like a 4-rounder or a 6-rounder. Okay, maybe Francis Ngannou might be okay. But if they're looking at like 8 rounds, for example, then Derek Chisora, he's a 12-round fighter, isn't he? Okay, he's used to going 12 rounds. Of course, he takes time off during those rounds and that as well, which is why he gives away a few rounds to catch his breath back. But if it's just going to be a 6-rounder or an 8-rounder, Derek Chisora can just go full throttle, can't he? So maybe we're going to see a far more aggressive and, well, just aggressive Derek Chisora, okay? One who doesn't have to worry about his gas tank so much, so. Anyway, I mean, I would favour Derek Chisora in that ever so slightly. Francis Ngannou, of course, he will look at that fight and think, yeah, you know, I can win that. Pick up a fair bit of money. Let's get it. Anyway, let's find out if that transpires. Drop your thoughts below. Click thumbs up, subscribe. Catch you next video.